And when he retires, it's going to be like the...
Hey. Welcome back, everybody, to Jock Talk. This is the Jocks of All Trades podcast. We're starting out a little chippy. We'll get to that in a minute. However, the three of us haven't been together for a couple weeks now, so this is exciting. You know where I'm going to start? It is my favorite place to start on this podcast, the buzz. Let's start out with probably the biggest news that's come out in the past couple days. Lincoln Riley is going to USC. Now, there were rumors that he would go to LSU, and that just took a whole 180, and now he's at USC. Good move for USC here?
USC, absolutely.
Yeah. However, I just wish USC's brass, their management, whatever you want to call it, would just be a little bit patient. It seems like every goober that goes in there gets fired after a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And their expectations are too high. This is what happens in college football. Every single program, every single fan base, when they hire one of these top coaches, they think, oh, if you're not Alabama, or if you're not basically Alabama, if you're not Alabama, if you're not winning a championship every year, if you're not in contention, then you failed. And that's just not realistic at all. There's only 4 playoff teams. In the NFL, there's 16 now or 14? You know what I mean?
They're grabbing 7 out of every league now. So
the expectations are just too high. And I think Lincoln Riley will do a fine job for sure. I mean, he's shown that he can recruit well. He goes to USC. USC already is just a very good school in terms of recruiting. People want to go there. It's just I don't think he's going to have as easy of a time in the Pac-12 as he does the Big 12.
I completely disagree. I think he is going to have a ton of success in the Pac-12.
Listen to the SEC, man. I'm with you, Auburn.
Already a crapshoot. And if you've been keeping track of anything, you know that he's almost bringing a bunch of the Oklahoma coaching staff with him, basically, to USC, along with potentially a bunch of players, too. I mean, Spencer Rattler has already entered the transfer portal. Caleb Williams could very easily follow Lincoln Riley to USC. So you add the recruiting boost that USC is going to get with Lincoln Riley going to USC. You add to that all of the quarterbacks, all the players he's going to be able to get. He's going to be king of recruiting in the Pac-12 within 2 or 3 years.
Here's what I'm saying, though, if you have to listen to my argument, is that this is going to be his first couple of years. Sure, you can get some recruits from Oklahoma or whatever, but this first couple of years, if you're expecting a championship, could it happen? Sure, anything can happen. But I'm saying right off the bat, he's not going to have an easy of a time because he gets to implement his whole system. He has to implement everything.
Well, here's the thing. If USC isn't patient enough to let Lincoln Riley do his thing, then they're dumb.
That's what I'm saying. USC is never patient. They always expect these coaches to go in right away and then do that. And
I understand that. It really then depends on USC.
After that, if he can keep getting recruiting classes like he does at Oklahoma, for sure.
Because who's going to compete with him in the Pac-12? Nobody.
Herm Edwards ain't doing anything at Arizona State. Right. Chip Kelly had a couple good games for UCLA this past year, but that's about it.
Yeah, no. If USC is patient with him, I could see Lincoln Riley building something in the Pac-12 very similar to what we saw in Clemson in the ACC.
Well, yeah, there's no real opponents in the Pac-12. That's what I was waiting to jump in and say. And Auburn, I got to get some more comments in here. What's up, KDC Bull? Thanks for pulling up every week. Appreciate having you here, man. DK to get 33 PPR. That's definitely a Hail Mary. Auburn is spot on. Listen to the SEC, man. His only competition is Chip Kelly at this point. There is no one else in the Pac-12 that's terrifying. Not even Utah. If you're going to say Utah's ranked, so what? And I'm right with him. He got tired of competing with Ohio State, Michigan State, Iowa, all these teams that he couldn't beat with Oklahoma. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole reason. And I'm right there with you. I'm going to talk about it later. But we all know why he left, and I'm going to rip him shreds in a bit. But I'm with you both. I hear what you're both saying. But to put it plainly, he's going to find success early because he's already bringing the 5-star quarterback Malachi Nelson. I feel like it's Malachi Nelson. I could be wrong.
The dude from the 2023 recruiting class?
Yeah, he's already announced that he's out. He's going.
Yeah.
So Caleb Williams will probably stay put. I would expect him to stay put. He cemented that job. I'm going to change the order of what we're talking about. So, yeah, I think he'll find success, but I don't think he's ever going to get that playoff berth that he had with Oklahoma. You had an easier shot with Oklahoma than I think you have with USC. To finish that out, speaking of Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler is tired of playing backup, and he has entered the transfer portal. Here's the real thing, though. He did come in relief of him and threw a touchdown pass. So he actually looked like he had some life back in him. I don't think he's dead in the water. I'm not sure where he's going to go from here. I don't know what school he's going to go to. I don't know who's going to want him. If he had done this at the beginning of the season, like right when he got benched and said, hey, I want to leave, somebody still may have seen enough in him to say, oh, yeah, cool. But the fact that he's competing with Caleb Williams every week, and every week they pick Caleb Williams to be the starter, he lost that team. He has lost that team. He has lost the awesomeness around him. I don't think he's going to have a lot of suitors.
Spencer Rattler is the Odell Beckham of college football. As soon as Odell goes to a team, the team gets like worse, and it becomes just like a catastrophe. If I was personally at Penn State, like they don't have a quarterback next year, it's going to be a true freshman or these crappy backups, I wouldn't even touch him. This is personal opinion. I wouldn't touch him. Now, maybe I think what would be good for him is for him to go to a smaller school where he has a lot less pressure and he can, just really just try to ball out and do well, work on his fundamentals and work on his attitude.
Ouch.
Odell is talented, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So
That's true.
I don't even know if he's talented anymore. He did score a touchdown the other week, so
I did see Wilson's last birthday game. He might go crazy. Washington definitely doesn't look like it has been in the past. This might be the game. But again, remember Lockett is always that bottle rocket waiting to go off for like 30 points. So I don't know who's going to get the ball. Just depends. Let's talk. So Rattler, I'm going to be honest with you, and you both are going to hate me for it, but you're going to think SEC bias. But let me just give you the whole reason here. Hendon Hooker will not stay there forever. If you want to talk about a program that has been out of glory forever and that would take a shot on a guy that's like a little off kilter, has talent but not there yet, Tennessee. Either Tennessee or Ole Miss, because Matt Corral's going to leave.
Yeah, Corral's going to leave.
What's Lane Kiffin going to do?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of options in the SEC. And I'll tell you what, if you get the option to take down Georgia or Alabama, you've kind of cemented yourself as, oh, maybe
you won't, though. Especially
No,
Tennessee. Tennessee is a crap hole. He won't do anything at Tennessee.
What about Ole Miss?
Ole Miss, maybe. I think Ole Miss is a good I think that's a good team to go to. The bad side of that is, like, I feel like Lane Kiffin combined with Spencer Rattler could really just be like a bomb ready to go off. Like, they're both very they have strong personalities. I don't know how they will mesh. You know what I mean? Like, Lane Kiffin's kind of a weird dude, and he's been around the circus before. He knows the ins and the outs. He's been in trouble. He's a strange dude. I just think that him and Spencer Rattler could be a bomb that could go off at some point. However, if you look at Matt Corral and Spencer Rattler, ideally peak Spencer Rattler would be like, Matt Corral, how he plays. Corral runs the ball a ton, very much a playmaker. So I think Spencer Rattler could kind of mold into a Matt Corral type, but I don't know if he's as good as him. But
well, and that's my point. I'm just saying somewhere where he has low risk, high reward. You're not going to go to a Big Ten powerhouse. Not going to happen. The SEC needs really good quarterbacks in these crappy teams. So that's probably your best option. What are you going to do? Stay in the Big 12? Nobody in the Big 12 is going to keep you. Pac-12? Right. So you can play against Lincoln Riley? Not going to happen.
I'd go to Pittsburgh maybe. Look what they did with Kenny Pickett. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Hey.
Oh, I do not want Rattler to PS. No, thank you. I will hand in my jersey if Spencer Rattler comes to PS.
Kyle once Spencer Rattler like he wants an actual Rattler at quarterback.
Yeah.
And don't even get
you know what, Auburn? I'm gonna save that for later to see if that actually comes to fruition. I'm gonna remember this. Let me grab KDC real quick. Traded for Chase after that 200-yard game. Yeah, I know. And it's weird that T. Higgins is really like taking off out of that, which is stupid because I drafted T. Higgins thinking, oh, he's going to be the premier guy. And then it was Jamar Chase. Then when I trade for Jamar Chase, now it's T. Higgins. I give up. I have no idea what's happening anymore. Let's see. So we talked about Rattler. Guys, I know we didn't get a chance to talk Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, Kyle or Luke and I did, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it with you. You want to talk about granddaddy games. You're going to take number 1 versus probably number 3 or number 4. Ohio State, Michigan definitely lived up to that hype. Nasty game. Did not expect that to go the way it did. But Alabama and Georgia, we've talked about it for weeks. We've talked about this being the potential showdown. Do you think it's going to be a bloodbath? Or I'm really thinking this is going to be a hard fight.
It's going to be a close game, I think. Georgia's defense is elite, probably the best in entire college football. And Alabama's offense is a little bit on the weaker side in terms of what Alabama has had.
Yeah.
Still, if it was in a different conference like the Big 12, Pac-12, they'd put up 50 points a game. But I think that Alabama's defense is good enough to stop Georgia because Georgia's offense doesn't scare me at all.
I know. That's what I feel every single year. Georgia doesn't scare
Georgia
me.
doesn't have a legitimate quarterback.
Stetson Bennett is do you remember last year when he played?
And that's why it's close. I think if Georgia had even CJ Stroud, well, not even, he's a good quarterback. If they had CJ Stroud, I think Georgia would.
Let's not act like CJ Stroud had a bad game.
No, I'm not. I didn't mean that. Like if they had CJ Stroud, a good quarterback like him, a player like him, like I think they would beat Alabama. I could say that confidently, but they don't.
They really don't. They never do, and that's why I'm not terrified because you're going to have to run. You know what Alabama's really good against? The run. We're not good against mobile quarterbacks. Is Stetson Bennett mobile to you? No,
he is, but he doesn't really have that's about it. He's kind of one-dimensional, I think.
He's about as mobile as an O lineman trying to play quarterback. He does not scare me. Now, granted, do I think Alabama might win? I don't know. This is the one game.
What is the health status of Brian Robinson?
I was about to talk about two things. Brian Robinson is out for Georgia. So we're once again going to put our entire offense on Bryce Young's back. That could be good or bad. I mean, if Jameson Williams doesn't get a freaking targeting call this time, that'll be really great for us. But we're gonna need Mechie to do what he did in the Iron Bowl. We're gonna need him to show up. We're gonna need Jameson Williams to show up. We're gonna need Billingsley. We're gonna need Latu. We're gonna need literally everybody on that team to play like it is an elimination game. Because truthfully, at this point, it might be. However, I'll talk about it later. There are entire possibilities that there are 2 lost teams get in this year because the undefeated teams look so bad. But we'll talk about that. Here's the second factor that I had to look up because I was like, man, Georgia's playing defense. Hold on, let me answer this real quick.
Georgia's quarterback.
Quarterback, but by like this much.
Yo, Stetson Bennett can run. Watch him. He's not a bad runner. Ben Roethlisberger is like
garbage.
Roethlisberger is a freaking tree out there. Roethlisberger takes one step and he falls over.
I'd be more scared of Big Ben as Georgia's quarterback than I am of Stetson Bennett.
Oh, well, yeah. Roethlisberger he actually has an arm.
Exactly.
What's left of it?
Here's the fun stat that I found. Georgia has posted one of the best defenses this year in the past 11 years, 10 years, something crazy like that. Do you know what they're averaging in 12 games?
Probably
6.9 points per game.
Sounds about right.
That is incredible.
You should say 6.9.
6.9 points per game allowed.
Nice.
The last time a defense was close to that was 2011 Alabama that allowed 8.3 points per game. They currently are on track to have the best defense in the past 10 years. That terrifies me. That is the only thing that terrifies me about this game is that if they get on fire, we're done. However, they've lost a linebacker. They're losing a cornerback. They've lost all kinds of people to like legal issues, stupid injuries, stupid crap on the side. They might kill themselves before we ever get to the game with them.
I would say the way that Georgia could like win this game like comfortably is if they can get a defensive score. Like I think that's how they're going to have to put up some of their points, is just stopping Alabama inside their own 20, getting good field position, then getting a defensive score, getting a turnover and good field position for their offense. I don't see them being put at like their own 15, their own 10, and driving the whole field and scoring a touchdown. I don't see Georgia's offense doing that. But their defense is that good where they can get their offensive ball in very good field position and put it some easy points. So
here's what scares me about Georgia. The only thing about their offense. Have you noticed how they've played under Kirby? What does Kirby know? Kirby knows Alabama offense. And the only way that they've played this so far this year is physical. I don't like that. That's not typical for Georgia offense. They're very physical. Now they're not like explosive, they're not athletic, but they're very physical in the ground game. That I don't like. I think if we shut down the ground game, force them to pass, I think Alabama has a better shot than people think that they do. However, I will admit it's going to be like a 3-point game. There's no way it's going to be a blowout.
Just because you're talking smack on Stetson Bennett, I guarantee you he's going to run for like more than 40 to 50 yards in this game.
I'll cry.
And maybe even get a rushing touchdown. I'm going to put that out in the ether, and we'll see what happens.
I'll cry. I'll really cry.
Here's the thing, though. You have to admit Alabama's performances recently have been extremely lackluster, from the barely escaping LSU to pulling a miracle out of their butts in the Iron Bowl. This is not an Alabama team that is looking like an Alabama team. This is you know what we accused Oklahoma of doing early in the season. That's what Alabama is looking like right now.
Not even.
We perfectly honest.
No, we played ranked opponents. We played people with winning
I'm
records.
I'm not talking about like Arkansas and Ole Miss, dude. I'm talking about LSU. Sorry, Auburn.
I'm sorry. Did you see who LSU beat this week? Is LSU dead in the water? No, they are not. They beat a ranked team. No, I don't know it's true. Because you know what? You were barely bowl eligible. I don't want to hear from you either. Pay Joe Burrow to come back. That's the only way you're going to win a natty. I don't want to hear
it. We could do that all day. This team beat that team, who beat that team, who beat that team.
Yeah, I'm just saying that Alabama is looking
this argument.
very lackluster recently.
Yes, you want to know the difference between...
no indication. There is no indication that it's going to get better when you play the number one team in the country right now.
There is. You want to know the difference between us and Ohio State? We've won.
Bingo.
They
might have.
No, the only difference is Nick Saban.
They might have played some crappy teams. Yeah, I wouldn't be bragging. I don't think Brad is bragging that
I'm not. I'm just saying we could have lost.
However,
but we found a way to win.
A win is
against
a
barely bowl eligible team. I'll take the loss against Michigan, who's at least top 5.
I'd take a win over a loss any day of the week.
Right.
I would take a win over Akron than I would a loss against Ohio State and Michigan. I would, because that's how you get in, and that's how you
talked about it 1,000 times. It's not if you lose, it's when you lose, and you lost at the worst time of the season.
I'm not disputing that fact, dude. I'm just saying your team's not looking great at all.
Okay, and you took an L to an Oregon team that lost to Stanford, who's got like 3 wins for the season.
Dude, this is not about Ohio State anymore. I'm not making this about Ohio State anymore.
I'm just saying, like, you're ragging.
Right now, this is about Alabama and Georgia. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the matchup between Alabama and Georgia. And we're talking about it being a close game. What I'm saying is I don't agree that it's going to be a close game. I think Georgia probably wins this by 10 or 17 points.
See, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't.
If Kirby Smart had proven that he knows how to stop an Alabama team, how many times have we been down to Georgia and we come back and kill them? Go back and look. How many times have they had our number? And this is the point I'm making. We find a way to win. I don't care if it's ugly. Nick Saban is known for finding a way to win. I don't care if it's ugly. How about that natty where we should have been dead to rights to Georgia?
I think everybody and their brother should watch that Nick Saban video that I shared on my Facebook personally.
It's on my Twitter.
For Alabama fans and just for any kind of fan of college football, like Alabama fans, you have it really good. Like rarely, if ever, do you lose. So like people should not be upset by only beating Auburn by a couple points, because like sometimes teams rise to the occasion. They do. Yeah. Sometimes teams that are less talented, they see that Alabama on their schedule. They see that Ohio State on their schedule, just like Michigan. Luke, I guarantee you Ohio State is more talented than Michigan is. I know they are. 100%. But Michigan has been gearing up for that Ohio State game, and they came to play.
Well, and even better, and that's what happens. Years. Imagine losing to one team that you hate.
Every year on that schedule, they look, there is the Ohio State game. We can't wait to play that. That's what happens. And then some coaches do a very good job at that. Some coaches do not. Nick Saban, I feel like, does a pretty good job at like saying, hey, this is they're going to get our best shot. And they do.
My parents preach this. They were like, hey, Alabama sucked for a long time before this happened. They said, and you know what? You take it win by win. You take what we get, especially when we play Auburn. Just take away the records. They're going to give us their best effort for 4 quarters. The only reason they didn't is because Bryce Young somewhere pulled it out of him and was like, hey, I'm going to make it happen. To a dude that only had 2 receptions for the entire year for a touchdown. That should never have happened. Ever. He knows. He is the one who called me. I would have missed it. I turned it off when they missed that 4th down. I was like, yep, that's it. That's the game. It's like less than 2 minutes.
You're welcome.
Over. I was like, Auburn's going to run the ball out. It's over. He calls me. He's like, they've got the ball. What do you mean they've got the ball? He's like, they've got the ball. Turn it back on. I was like, how did they get the ball? So you know what? I'll credit. Thank you, Brian Harsin. You are my favorite coach so far this year. Thank you from coming to Boise State to Auburn and giving us another Iron Bowl win. I appreciate it so much. I had to make fun of him for a second. Like your first Iron Bowl, you should have beat us. We didn't deserve to win that game, and you still lost. Like that's painful. Anyhow, let's move on. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Speaking of picking on Brad's teams, Lamar threw 4 picks against the Browns, and they still won. Does this help or hurt his MVP candidacy this year? I can't talk about it. I want to hear from you guys.
Definitely hurts.
Yes.
He's thrown 11 picks on the year. That's not good. Now, I'll put this out there that the injuries haven't been kind to the Ravens. Like their O-line is not as good as it once was. And the receivers definitely – and running backs, they all got hurt. So, like, from that standpoint, like, yeah, it's not good. But Lamar, in the year that he's in now, like he's been a pro for 3-4 years. Like he shouldn't do this. There's no excuse to do that. He has to be better than that. And that's just the kind of thing we talked about before we aired. Is just like the limitations of some of these running quarterbacks. Is like sometimes even though they are able to throw the ball, they get so dependent on their legs that when it. Jalen Hurts was the MVP until last night.
We're going to talk about it. I
don't know the MVP, but he was playing pretty well.
We're going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. So I think these guys just get dependent on their legs, and we don't really see the true colors of how well they can throw because that's not what the offense is designing for them. Lamar Jackson's offense, the Ravens' offense, is at best when he can run the ball, which he always can do, and then pass the ball efficiently. He couldn't do that last night. Lamar Jackson has only won 1 playoff game so far, and I think he's scored on average about 10 to 12 points a game in each of the playoff games that he's played.
Yeah,
that's not going to cut it. So you can call that what you want. You can call that he chokes. You can call that he gets a tough defense, or that when it comes playoff time, when it comes crunch time, these defenses know what to do on how to stop these running QBs. That's what it comes down to. We saw that with him. We saw it with Jalen Hurts in the Giants game.
I'll say it this way. He's just so 50-50 in big moments. He's either going to have like a memorable moment or he's just going to like light it on fire and we're going to remember it forever. So I love him. I do. It's my quarterback. I'll stand behind him. But there's just times that I'm like, dude, like why? But do you have any opinion on that, Luke, or not really?
I mean – I certainly believe it hurt his MVP chances. I mean, again, any other quarterback in the league, we're looking at 4 picks in a game and we're saying, no, that is a bad performance. And here's the thing. MVP in the NFL is not like the Heisman is in college where, you have to win and then we'll give you the Heisman.
Yeah.
This is, your team doesn't, it's helpful if your team at least kind of makes the playoffs, but it doesn't have to get even very far into the playoffs. You just have to show yourself to be one of the most valuable players in the NFL. Yep. And the fact that the Ravens won basically in spite of Lamar throwing 4 picks, I think that almost hurts his candidacy more than if the Ravens had lost the game, because it shows that the Ravens can still win with Lamar playing very, very poorly. So I'm thinking that certainly hurt his candidacy.
Yeah. All right, let's breeze through the rest. Cam gets benched. I love to see it. A former Auburn quarterback, especially since it's the week of Hate Auburn. Is this a sign of things to come with Carolina?
Well, they need a quarterback, and that's been apparent for a while. I thought Sam Darnold might have a chance.
Me too.
Might. I wasn't like, oh, yeah, he'll be the franchise quarterback. I was like, oh, maybe. No, he ain't doing it. Cam ain't doing it. PJ Walker definitely ain't doing it. Matt Rule, his job is going to be decided upon if they can get a good QB or not. So
remember, this is the team that passed up on Justin Fields in the draft. When I said, they should take Fields. Nope. Mm-hmm. They took a cornerback who, if I remember correctly, hasn't really played a whole lot this season.
He tore his ACL. He was playing well before that. But, yeah, it's a bummer for him. Joe Horn's son. But, yes, that's it's going to be very hard for Matt Rule to keep his job if they can't get a good QB. I really thought they should have taken one for sure. I'm in total agreement with you. Justin Fields was there. Mac Jones was there. And I think both of them were capable of taking over for Sam Darnold. But they didn't want to do that. I like their strategy. They drafted like every defensive player for every one of their picks. They drafted a defensive player last year. This year was a little bit different. But their whole offense has been what, guys? McCaffrey. McCaffrey can't stay on the field. So they're going to have to change their identity of their offense quick. But they ain't going to do it with Sam Darnold. So they need a QB badly.
So I don't know if it's because everyone's just tired of talking about this team. Everyone's tired of Tom Brady. But truthfully, are we talking enough about the New England Patriots?
I don't think so. No. I don't think so. And here's why. The Patriots, just look at how they played over this past weekend. It's like, absolutely blew the Titans out of the water. Granted, this is the Titans without Derrick Henry. But they've still shown themselves to be a very, very good team in spite of losing Derrick Henry, and the Patriots absolutely just blew them out of the water.
Yeah.
So, and with not just, like good defense and, really, really stall them. No, this is that offense clicking at a high level. And in a way, I think, Brad, you kind of saw this coming probably more than some of the rest of us did. Mac Jones' style of play, I think, is so similar to Tom Brady.
I'm telling you.
That it allowed Belichick to say, okay, we're going to insert Mac into the system that Brady had, and we're just going to try to make this work, and it's working. And wouldn't it be a hoot and a holler if Belichick and Brady meet in the Super Bowl? You have Brady versus the rookie. I'm saying it is not out of the realm of possibility. This Patriots team could go to a Super Bowl if they continue playing this well.
Well, a little bit of it is Mac Jones is playing very, very well. And I think with a little bit of a limited supporting cast, like his receivers aren't great. He's got Kendrick Bourne.
That's because I put that, I personally think that there was a bit too much scandal in the tenure of Bill Belichick, but his coaching ability is just it can't be denied. And Belichick is able to put Mac in the best position to succeed.
Yeah, him and McDaniels for sure. I think a little bit of it is Mac Jones, but the most of it is just the genius of Bill Belichick with that defense. I mean, Matt Judon's got like 10 sacks in the year. He got to career high. His secondary is always playing well. And then they're putting the ball in good position for Mac Jones and that offense. Hunter Henry's been very good, and they've always had a stable of running backs that have performed well. Mac Jones is playing very well, and I don't even think Mac Jones stands saw this coming. Like, really? This? I don't like – he's outperforming, I think, everybody's expectations.
All right, but what did I say at the beginning of the year? I said he is the second best quarterback in this class.
I mean, he very well still could be, and he still very well could not be. But
although to be honest,
that,
Trevor Lawrence doesn't look great either.
No, he has a horrible – that's what I'm saying now. Like, he has the best coach a quarterback could ask for. Trevor Lawrence, no. Justin Fields, heck no. Who else got drafted? Trey Lance. Not bad. Not bad. But yeah, I mean, Mac Jones, perfect situation. You basically have a head coach as your offensive coordinator and a legendary head coach as your head coach. You know what I mean? So, like, in terms of the coaching style that he gets, he has the best situation. And that's what happens when you're overlooked. Sometimes you get to go to a really good team in the middle of the first round or in the second round.
I really think Mac Jones has definitely benefited from that. I think he's a great talent, but he's definitely benefited from being.
He would not be doing this on the Jacksonville Jaguars. He would not be doing this.
He would not be doing this with the Chicago Bears. I can tell you this right now.
No, but you have to admit the Patriots' weapons aren't all that. Hunter Henry is probably their best weapon.
Hunter Henry, Johnny Smith. It's about it.
Right. I do believe that. Let's say Mac Jones went before Justin Fields. Let's say the Pats ended up with Justin Fields. Do I believe Justin Fields would be able to do kind of like the same thing that Mac is doing? No. Very, very possibly.
Where's that banner that I made last time we did?
I think their offense would be definitely different. They'd cater to what Justin Fields can do as what they're doing with Mac Jones. Like, they're just
correct. Yes, absolutely.
I have it, but I'm tweaking it. I put this up last time and he hated it, and I kept putting it up the entire show.
I mean,
oh no, not Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I agree with that sentiment. However, I think I could also just put up right there that Justin Fields is a better QB than Mac Jones. There's a difference between success and ability, and I think that's critical to point out.
We'll see. I think Fields has more high-end traits and talent than Mac Jones does. However,
he has higher ceiling,
yeah. However, that doesn't mean everything. Depending on situation, depending on how much better you get. You know what I mean? There's so many different factors into it, and Justin Fields' development has been slowed because of the Chicago Bears. So, they were here, but like here, and it's gotten to right here because it's just.
Here's my argument. Here's my only argument. The Bears have much better weapons than the Patriots. There is like zero reason he should not be getting.
They do skill position wise, but offensive line, Patriots.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Your weapons don't really matter when you're running for your life every play.
And he really is. He really is.
Potato, tomato. Let's not talk about Hurts. Kyle, let's set you up with like your own like separate rant about the Eagles. I'll just say I don't think it was Hurts' fault. Auburn, if you're still with us, Kyle thinks it is. I think it's
Hurts / management, not solely on Hurts.
Right.
Hurts / management.
I blame Sirianni. I think it's a little bit. All right, let's just get this real quick because we got to move on. Did the Rams do too much to try to win this year? Because ever since they've made all those like massive trades, it hasn't amounted to much, has it?
That's what happens when you put all your eggs in one basket. When you start losing, you're like, oh crap, what happened? Well, the first thing that happened, Robert Woods going out did not help them at all. And replacing him with Odell Beckham, I don't think that's going to do much. Cooper Kupp is like the guy on that offense. So when Robert Woods goes out, well, what do? Well, we got to put all our attention to Cooper Kupp. And Cooper Kupp got slowed down last night and that hurt them. Yeah,
For like the first time this season too.
yeah,
Like that was a first for Cup.
for sure. I mean, Stafford's banged up. He is, and he is a little bit older, and he has been banged up before in his career. Like he gets, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. Well, I think part of it is Jalen, but
no,
I think it is. But you're right. High Roseman is 100% like the reason why the Eagles are in this mess in the first place.
And I love comments. Like I want to love that because
no one talks about it, Auburn. People are just like, oh yeah, we'll just blame all of it on Sirianni or all of it on Jalen Hurts or all of it on the defense, but no one talks about High Roseman. And he
gets away with murder like every year.
Yeah, for sure. The Rams did a little too much. I think they can still turn around and be good and be in the hunt of the playoffs. But listen, Stafford really hasn't won many big games in his career. People attribute that to, well, he played for the Lions. But he's going to have to face the Packers in the playoffs at some point, probably. And I don't know if they'll be able to beat them because it didn't look very good.
And after spending 2 years on this podcast complaining about the Packers defense, they're not bad. They're really not bad.
Done a lot better.
Yeah. Okay, that was. Oh, hold up.
Go to the comment before.
Yeah. Oh wait, hold up. I'm sorry.
For sure. Rager cannot drop those. That's for a first round pick. In his hands.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's start with that pick was a mistake. First of all, he should have been throwing to somebody else. But Rieger being a first round pick, I think that would like light a fire under me and be like, I have to be good. Like he has not improved.
He never should have been drafted in the first round in the first place. No. Hurts did put the ball on the money. Those two throws, they shouldn't have been in that position with Scott's fumble. However, he still did throw 3 picks, one in the red zone at the end of the first half, where he could have gotten at least 3 points, and we got 0 points. And you can't make those mistakes. Everybody has bad games, so like that's entirely possible. They just had a bad game, but a lot of that just kind of, harkens back to the first half and them not being able to do diddly squat. So,
yeah.
And
You are not wrong. Hi, everybody. This was the turkey week of the NFL. We put out our second Jocks Giving episode. So happy if you were able to see that and enjoy while we were very thankful about a lot of things. Yeah, exactly. That's why I keep saying it's not Hurts. But we got 3 really subpar games for Thanksgiving as usual. And some weird games this week. I'm going to blow through them. Take like 2 seconds, talk about a game. I'm not going to talk about one I didn't get to watch a whole lot. Bears at the Lions 16-13. Who would have guessed that the Lions would always find a way to lose? Raiders at the Cowboys 36-33 in overtime. That was kind of a shock. I expected the Cowboys to do a lot more, but with CeeDee Lamb being out and Amari Cooper, I give them a little bit of leeway there. Bills at the Saints 31-6. What a shocker. Without Alvin Kamara, they have no offense. Ravens versus Browns 16-10. Thank you, Ravens, for constantly giving me a heart attack every week. Bengals versus the Steelers. Steelers, anytime that you want to play this year, let me know. You didn't have a bye week this week, and the Bengals beat you 41-10 to sweep you for the year, I believe. Speaking about blowing leads, Buccaneers at Colts 38-31. You had them. It was 24-14 at halftime. Carson, stop being garbage. Dolphins versus Panthers. Speaking of garbage, somehow the Dolphins won 33-10.
Dolphins are on a hot streak right now.
I will never understand that. Speaking of hot streaks, Patriots beat the crap out of the Titans 36-13. The Giants and the Eagles forgot what the white line on the football field stands for at the end of both ends, 13-7. Falcons at the Jaguars, 21-14. Did we expect the Jags to win that game? Jets at the Texans, 21-14. Again, go Jets, I guess. Here was the shocker for the week. Broncos versus Chargers, 28-13. I think Pat Surtain had 2 picks in that game, 1 for a pick 6. That's my man. Packers versus Rams, 36-28. Hello, Aaron Rodgers. Thank you for showing up this season. 49ers versus Vikings, 34-26. Hey, Cousins, you know you have to line up behind your center, right? And then tonight we'll determine Seahawks at Washington football team. A snooze fest. I'll probably watch some of it for my wife, but other than that, I don't care. They're both garbage. Was there one game that stuck out to you guys? I kind of declined watching the garbage fest that was Thanksgiving games.
I watched the Raiders-Cowboys game on Thanksgiving. And now you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Okay.
But when I watch a football game, I like the focus of the game to be on the play of the players. I want the players to be the focus of the game, not the guys in black and white stripes.
Oh, one of those games?
It was, dude,
28.
there were 28 flags thrown in the course of the game.
Hey.
Like 14 on each team.
That's bad.
And so at that point, I just want to ask, I just want to say, refs, well, we interrupt this program for a special news bulletin from Kat.
Yes. You don't say hello?
But no, it's like, if you are throwing 28 flags in the course of the game, maybe the problem is you and not what's going on the field.
That's atrocious. That's probably an NFL record.
Yeah, it might be. I think it's at least until I think it's a Cowboys record for how many flags they received in the course of a game. Going back until 1970 is what I read.
A few of those near the end were pretty legitimate though, because they had 2 offsides penalties at a field during a field goal kick or attempt. Those are pretty
But it was a pass interference call that basically sealed the game for the Raiders. If you watched the game.
Yeah, that was
no. It's it was going to be 4th down. Raiders were going to have to punt, and there was a pass interference call. And that
which was
may or may not have been.
I thought it was a good
interference,
honestly.
So my personal thing is, and it's almost "Are you for real?" kind of thing, but it's if you're getting to the point where you're throwing almost 30 flags in the course of a 60-minute game, maybe the problem is you and not what's going on the field. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Sure. Kyle, your game?
Yeah, I'll talk about the Eagles again for a hot second. All 3 of those picks were Jalen Hurts' fault if you go back and watch. The third one that he had did not hit Jalen Reagor's hands. He completely underthrew him. If you want to go back and watch Bradley Dennis, and you can
fine. Well, then I'm going to complain that Jalen Reagor should be a better wide receiver and come up to his quarterback. Anyhow, because that's the first thing you're taught.
Should have drafted JJ.
Don't remind me, Luke.
Regardless. One of the first things you're taught is come back to the quarterback. So
it's
really
kind of hard when you're running 19 miles per hour, running a hot streak down the right side of the field and coming back to your throat. That's kind of hard to do. That's hard to do. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. He's a garbage can, but
fair enough. Speaking of garbage cans, would you like to talk about the garbage can that's really making you mad today?
Yeah.
There you go.
Ew. Other than this last game, the Giants, they're awful. They don't want their owner back or their GM, Dave Gettleman, and who would? He's a garbage can. They fired Jason Garrett, who, guys, I'm not even sure why he got hired. As soon as he got hired, I'm like, well, he's going to get fired pretty soon. And guess what? He did. He was never good with the Cowboys. He was just a puppet for Jerry Jones. So decision after decision, they've made bad decisions. One of the highest picks they've had in recent drafts was number 2 overall pick. And who did they draft? Saquon Barkley, whom I love. I have a plaque of Saquon with his autograph. One of my favorite players ever. But you don't draft a running back at number 2 and then don't build around him. What did they give Saquon Barkley? The worst O-line in the NFL. and they still haven't improved on it. Now, Saquon Barkley isn't the player that he used to be right now. He's banged up a little bit. He doesn't look quite as fast or as confident. He doesn't trust his legs yet. So part of that's on him, but it's just bad decision after bad decision. They need to find an identity, and they don't have that. I don't think Joe Judge is the guy, and I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy either. I think what they've built upon is their defense. Their defense right now is their strongest point. They have a solid front four. They drafted Azeez Ojulari, who's playing very well. Leonard Williams. They got Austin Johnson. They got big Dexter Lawrence in there. They're built to stop the run, and they do a pretty good job at it. So how to fix them? Well, number one, you got to trade DJ away, basically for anything. I don't think he's the guy. You're going to keep sucking with him whether you have him or not. And the reason you kind of suck is to get a better QB. Now, I've seen rumors about them. They should go all in for Russell Wilson. I don't think they should. They could trade their whole draft away, and they'd definitely be improved with a Russell Wilson. But, their O-line's still a garbage can. They drafted Kadarius Toney in the first round when they had all these other receivers. They paid Kenny Golladay $70 million, and he hasn't done anything this year. So I just think the first thing is to get a new GM. You have to get a new GM. After that, you need to go quarterback shopping. And after that, you need to go offensive line shopping. So I think from a talent standpoint, if Saquon can get healthy, he'll be fine at running back. And their plethora of receivers, that should be good enough. Evan Ingram also sucks. They could use an upgraded tight end. It's just really bad ownership is what it comes down to. Never should have hired Dave Gettleman. Never should have hired Joe Judge. Never should have hired Jason Garrett. Just really, really dumb from all around, especially in the NFC least, which has been a horrible division the last few years. So, get a new GM, get a new QB, and then I think after that, easier said than done on getting the QB. Just get a GM that doesn't make stupid moves like Dave Gettleman. So, it's on your way.
Sweet deal. Let me swap places with you, buddy. Before I get into that, I just got a notification. I'm going to keep gloating because an Iron Bowl win is better than any national championship every year. Mike Bobo will not return as Auburn's offensive coordinator.
Great man.
I'll take it. I mean, he's a good guy, but I get it. You got Bo Nix, and you couldn't put up points against a couple teams. And then you rely on your backup transfer from LSU to beat Alabama. He had a shot, and you still lost it by some bad offense in the second half. So I get it. He's a good guy, though. I hope he lands somewhere good. Smart coach. Just guess that wasn't the right place for him. Anyways, let's move on. I wanted to talk about it so bad earlier, and Auburn took my thunder just a little bit. My spicy and meatball boys, and I would love to hear your reaction. Lincoln Riley going to USC. Did you chicken out, man? Were you scared of the SEC that bad that you wanted to just jump ship and go to the Pac-12 where everything is sunshine and rainbows? Yeah, you don't want to play in the SEC. That's where real football gets played, Big 12. There's a notice for you. You only have 2 real teams every year. And where was TCU recently? Texas Tech. Baylor is only surviving because half your conference is garbage. I get it. I get it, man. New horizons, that's great. I'm also laughing at him because let's think about this too. You have the first quarterback ever that doesn't look like a Heisman Trophy winner or they're going to be the best quarterback that's ever become, and then suddenly you want to leave and go to USC. Coincidence, guys? Coincidence that he took this job right after a big L to Oklahoma State? Coincidence? I don't know. I can only theorize. But, dude, you were doing so good at Oklahoma. Honestly, if he was going to leave Oklahoma, I would have been more okay with him going to the NFL than to another college team. Are you guys with me on that one?
Not necessarily.
Well, he has the success. He has the resume. He could have chosen any team he wanted to go to.
He does.
Two Heisman
I'm just not completely sold on the idea that he just didn't want a change of scenery.
Why would you do that when you're winning? It's like Nick Saban just saying, I don't want to be at Alabama anymore. We lost.
Well, the thing is,
Texas
here's the thing.
A&M.
I think he wants to be able to compete at not just in the Big 12, but nationally.
I don't buy that.
I think he'd get more respect at USC if he can win like this. Number two, USC is already that kind of like, they're not a powerhouse, but they're very close to a powerhouse every year if they had, a good coach, if they had a QB, whatever. Like, in terms of rebuilding yourself, he doesn't want to go to the Big Ten to take one of these these teams and then bring them up, or even the SEC when you have to play Alabama, Georgia every year. Like, you don't want to go to, like, USC is so much more attractive from a head coaching position than Tennessee, than LSU, than Florida. Like, because why? Because USC at one point in the early 2000s to mid 2000s, Alabama-ish almost every year. Yeah. And I think he can definitely at some point take them back to that. However, if they're playing the Pac-12 every stinking game and then they go on to the playoffs, you're not going to play a Pac-12 team. So that's the one thing that's like, well, you could go to the playoffs every year, my dude, but you might get smacked.
So. That was my main argument. What's the difference between staying at Oklahoma and going to USC?
I think there's a larger difference there. Here's the thing. I think that if you had in the Pac-12, what makes the Pac-12 unique is that there is so much cannibalization within the conference. Any team can beat any team on any given day.
That's not interesting. That's bad.
Hard. Which makes it hard for them to put in a playoff team. Now, I think Lincoln Riley is looking at USC and saying, okay, here's a program with some previous success, with a vast tradition that I can go to. I can pull coaching staff to. I can pull recruits to, like bees to honey, and dominate.
I think he'll have more success.
And not have one of those wacky losses that like an Oregon will have or a Washington will have. So I think he's looking to build something that Dabo built in Clemson when it comes to the ACC.
Well, Clemson didn't play anyone either. That's my whole point. You won't garner any respect that way. How many times do we make fun of Clemson every time because they never play anybody? That's what he is going to become.
Yeah, but Clemson won 2 national championships.
It's true.
They won.
It's true.
I think he definitely could. I think he'll have more success recruiting in California. California is pretty rich in terms of talent. I mean, so is Texas and Oklahoma. But, like, people will travel across the country just to go to California to play football.
Yeah.
So
it's true. I don't think it's going to compete with the Blue Bloods, but, I mean, it's cool to take the second prize every year, Lincoln Riley. Anyhow, let's move on and let's take out the trash. I don't know if you guys saw this. Kareem Hunt's dad bashed Baker Mayfield on Facebook about looking scared to throwing it bad. I'm just going to say, listen, he already got exposed. We already know. Odell's daddy did the same thing. We already know Baker Mayfield is not the quarterback of the future for the Browns. Why beat a dead horse? Why beat a dead horse? We already know. Let it go. Let's take out the trash. We can talk about that later. We are way behind, so I'm just speeding at this point. Flashbang, I will ask both of you. I did this on purpose. Remember, one sentence answers. Kyle, Michigan or Georgia?
Georgia, because their defense is the best I've ever seen.
Luke, Michigan
ditto, because ditto.
Okay. Luke, Cincinnati or Notre Dame?
Cincinnati, because Cincinnati beat Notre Dame.
Kyle?
Ditto and ditto.
You're both terrible. Kyle, Titans or Colts?
Colts, because I still believe in Carson Wentz.
Luke?
Brady, because 7 rings.
What? I said Titans or Colts.
No, you said I'm looking at Flashbang. Okay,
I know.
No, you gave.
And I asked
Okay,
Kyle, I
Titans
said
or
Titans
Colts?
or Colts, and then I said
Sorry.
Luke.
Sorry. I'm gonna go Colts. Sorry, I jumped ahead. But now you know what my answer is to the next question you're gonna ask.
Yeah, Brady, fine.
Brady for
All
sure.
right. All right.
But
I knew you guys
I do want to say there is context to that. If you're asking me now, I might take Mac because youth, but just
one sentence. Don't break my rule. Only reason I put it there is I knew somebody was going to say they play so similar, and I got it in the early part of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. All right. Let's move on, if my computer will work with me, to top 10. I used the college football playoff rankings this time. I'm going to buzz through them. Georgia beat a pedestrian Georgia Tech 45-0. Wow, shocker. Ohio State lost to number 5 Michigan 27-42. Alabama beat Auburn in 4 overtimes 24-22. Cincinnati beat an East Carolina team 35-13. Michigan beat number 2 Ohio State 42-27. Notre Dame beat Stanford 45-14. Oklahoma State defeats number 10 Oklahoma 37-33. Baylor gets away from Texas 27-24. Ole Miss beats Mississippi State 31-21, and Oklahoma loses to Oklahoma State 33-37. Lots of implications. I'd love to touch on it, but we're like super behind. Let's go ahead to up high, down low, too slow. If you want me to, I can take you out of the picture for this. Number 5 Michigan versus number 2 Ohio State, 42-27. Listen, every single analyst I heard was it's going to be another clean sweep by Ohio State. And that's all we heard. Listen, they do it with Alabama too. So that's the only reason I'm giving you the up high, down low, too slow. I know you have stuff to talk about. Put it in an episode. I told you already, but I will admit the defense was the only reason Ohio State lost. Was not CJ Stroud's fault. I will defend that kid. I kind of like him. Minnesota versus number 14 Wisconsin, 23-13. Up high, down low. Ooh, too slow. Wisconsin looks like you're not going to the Big Ten championship this year. Wow, it's like you suck. Let's move on. Speaking of sucking, LSU beat number 15 Texas A&M 27-24. A&M, seriously? Up high, down low. Ooh, too slow. You had like one of the best wins of the entire season, and you've just like blown it all away in the back half of the season. Nice job. It's why you will always be in the back half of the SEC. Let's move on to Kyle. You're going to do it?
Overrated. I don't do emotions. Yeah, Cam Newton. Listen, dude, you are overrated. Actually, I mean, to me, you're probably just as where I thought you were. But everybody and their brother is saying, like, oh, yeah, they signed Cam Newton. Everybody, let's sign Cam Newton. You need a quarterback, sign Cam Newton. He's on the street. That's why he's on the street. He is Lamar Jackson / Jalen Hurts, but, you know, in terms of, like, better runner than a passer, I think. But guess what? He can't run as well as he used to. So, like, what do you do well besides stealing crabs from a grocery store? Overrated. Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, as soon as Big Ben came back, we knew this was going downhill, and you should have seen it coming. He moves like a tree. Pittsburgh Steelers, the best thing about you was your defense, and your defense just, like, what, gave up, like, 40 to the Bengals or 30? You're overrated. Cincinnati, I'm assuming this is Cincinnati Bearcats. You are not overrated. I'm not going to talk about them. Washington Wizards, I guess you're overrated. All you really have is Bradley Beal. So you're overrated.
I'm only putting them in overrated because they had such a hot start to the season. It's not going to continue. You cannot rely on Bradley Beal to bail you out every game for 82 games in a season. Not going to happen.
And Kyle Kuzma's Kyle Kuzma. He's always going to disappoint you at some point.
He's like the Mark Sanchez of football. I've determined that at this point.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his. They're not going to go far. They'll probably be like a 5-6 seed maybe and just squeak their way in, and that's about it.
Yep. I saved my arguing for this. So let's play a speculation game for Jock, Paper, Scissors. Let's say that Alabama does march in to Atlanta and take a big old fat L to Georgia. So Jock, Paper, Scissors, a 2-loss Alabama, a 2-loss Ohio State, or a 2-loss Oklahoma.
So you're saying only one of them, right?
Yes.
So assuming it's Georgia, Michigan, and Cincinnati, and the other teams probably.
Yeah.
Definitely not Oklahoma. You out. Dang, that's tough. I mean, personally, I would just choose Alabama just because they will lose to the number one team. And they've never been not saying Ohio State has, but like Alabama's never been a disappointment in like the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, we put Notre Dame in. Shoot, why do we put them in again? Like if you put Alabama in 99% of the time, they're at least going to show up. Again, I'm not saying Ohio State won't show up, but just like it's not like I guess we'll put Alabama in. It's like, yeah, we'll put Alabama in and they'll probably play pretty well. However, they'd probably play Georgia right off the bat again if it's 1 versus 4. So, like, would you do that, Or would you stick them at 3?
Yeah.
So
I'll say this. I won't even give you my answer. I will just tell you they exist to make money. If you're going to make money, people love a rematch. They're going to put Alabama in because money. Not even a better win. Not even it's true. Don't make that face. It's true. If they're going for money and trying to sell tickets.
People hate rematches.
Yeah,
that's why I think they would take Ohio State, or they should. Because here's the thing. Oklahoma is out. It really would be down to a non-conference champion, 2-loss Alabama, and a 2-loss State who missed out.
A 2-loss non-conference Ohio State too. Don't leave that out.
Correct. Yes. Duh. So here's the thing though. The 2 losses. Alabama will have lost to the number 1 team in the country and a team that was unranked at the time and now just lost to LSU. Whereas their top wins are, okay, so you barely beat Arkansas. That's an okay win, I guess. You beat Ole Miss. Okay, hooray. Meanwhile, Ohio
lost
State,
your most important game of the season, so don't do that.
Hey, we lost to a number 5 ranked team, and we lost to Oregon, which is also a highly ranked team. So we didn't lose to any unranked team. Crap.
No, but if you were all that,
the number 7 team in the country, when we played them, we beat them 56-7. So I'm looking at Alabama and Ohio State this year, and I see 2 very, very similar teams. I believe if you put them on the same field, and I think that's actually possible if you look at maybe bowl games. I think Alabama versus Ohio State could be very interesting.
I would like to see
both end up in the same bowl. But if the 2 end up on the same field, I'm taking Ohio State.
I wouldn't, and you know why? Because Ryan Day versus Saban. I'm going to pick Saban every day of the week. What's baby Ryan Day done since he's been there? I haven't seen baby face.
He's gotten to a national championship. So
Minnesota, Tulsa, Akron, Rutgers, Maryland, IU, Penn State, Nebraska, Purdue.
At least we don't play Little Sisters of the Poor in November.
No, but you don't play real teams. If you think any of those teams in the Big Ten are real, you're very mistaken.
You know what? I would pay to watch the Iron Bowl played in a snow globe. I wonder how that would go.
Why does that matter? You still play.
Oh, you think it doesn't matter? Oh, that comes from a team that's never had to play in the snow in its life.
So you're blaming the snow for your loss, or how about?
No, I'm not blaming the snow. Defense? I'm just saying that don't knock the snow until you've tried it.
I'm not. We've played in the snow before. You know whose team knows about Alabama playing in the snow? It's not yours. Oh no, it's Penn State, isn't it? Do you remember the goal line stand back in the 70s there, Kyle?
It's the 70s.
Still, we've played in the snow. It's not. We've never played in the snow.
You have to go back to the 70s to remember the last time Alabama played in the snow.
So we've played and we won. Thank you very much. That's the
In
difference
the
between
70s.
Alabama. That's the difference between Alabama and Ohio State. We may lose occasionally, but we always find a way to win in the tough games. You played your toughest opponent and crap the bed. Weird. Anyhow, yeah, I'd take Alabama. Let's move on to Baller Bill.
I'd pay $25 because I'm not rich to see it, and then to have you both in one room to watch it together, just so I could sit back and laugh.
See, but then once again, it'll become, but this player was hurt and that player was hurt, and they were never meant to be up against Alabama.
Do you deny that players were hurt?
I don't. We have players hurt. Do you hear me complaining about it up to Georgia? It happens. If we lose, we lose it.
Here's the thing. You have every right to complain if you lose it to a close game to Georgia and you are without Brian Robinson. You have
not really.
Not
really, because here's the deal. Here's the deal, though. They still have an opportunity to win. And if they lose, injuries or not, sucks. We should have found a way to win.
I agree with that, but it's like you can't say, oh, we just should have won, and then leave it at that. You have to put out there. It's like, well, we were missing a star running back.
Would I be upset? Yeah, but I wouldn't blame the whole loss on Brian Robinson.
I've never blamed whole losses on.
I'd blame it on the defense. I'd blame it on Bryce Young. I would blame it on the people who played the game, not who didn't. But just difference of opinion, I guess. So Baller Bill, y'all, this is a hot topic right now. Luke, I don't know if you've watched a lot of college ball to contribute to this next question.
I would say Banchero, because Banchero just beat Holmgren head-to-head.
I didn't even ask. Chet Holmgren or Paulo Banchero? I'll be 100% honest. Chet Holmgren. I watched the high school highlights of this really skinny, freaky-looking kid. He's not bad. I like him. If I was an NBA team, I'd take Holmgren over Banchero at this point.
I don't know. Holmgren's just so I know he's having success right now. His body size or his body type kind of scares me. I don't know what it is. I don't think he's big enough. Could he get big enough? Sure.
The complaint I've heard is he's one-dimensional. Is that kind of where your thought process is with that, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, the NBA is just going to be a different story for him.
I agree.
Yeah.
But truthfully, it's hard to find bigs that are game-changing bigs. That's the only reason why I like him over Banchero. Anyone can shoot. Cool. But I would rather take the big man who's got some skills. Look at Giannis right now. Giannis is like the king of the league right now because he is a big man who's just terrifying. But anyways, speaking of the Bucks, they're signing Demarcus Cousins. Is that worth it at this point?
So tired of talking about Demarcus Cousins.
I know. How is he still in the league? Truthfully, I don't hate him, but he's not that good.
Because he was at one point good, and people can't get over it.
I don't think it's going to push them to another title by signing Cousins. Is it just a desperation play at this point?
Pretty much. They don't really have a bench, so they're just kind of grasping for straws at this point.
Yeah. I don't know if you followed up on this, Luke, but amazingly, the top two teams in the NBA are the Suns and the Warriors, and they are red hot. The Suns just finished a 16-game winning streak. That's impressive.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Who would you pick in a head-to-head matchup between the two?
Well,
I know the Suns are hot. They're kind of like the actual Sun, but I think I'd still take the Warriors. And I think that's just because I think I trust the leadership of Steph more than I would trust the leadership of someone like Devin Booker or Chris Paul, Chris Paul has been to one finals and couldn't win.
Yeah.
So but Steph has won 2015 was a gritty win for him. 2017, 2018, it was just an absolute juggernaut, but he's been there before. So I think I'd probably take the Warriors in that scenario.
Breaking news, LSU is going to hire Brian Kelly as their next head coach.
He's leaving Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Well, Wouldn't you if you're constantly on the outside looking in every year?
No, his job is so secure. I would never leave Notre Dame.
Wow.
Yeah, but if you're constantly getting blown out after making it to the playoffs every year, I feel like I would go somewhere else and rebuild too. Like I get it. Speaking of Steph, I'm with you. I would take the Warriors. Steph is averaging 26.4 points per game or something ridiculous like that for a 30-something-year-old. I agree with you. I like his leadership, but the thing that I like better is he backs it up and doesn't just say, "Hey, we need you to step up." He'll do it. And he'll still do it. And the fact that he's still doing that, I always said Curry wouldn't play into his late 30s. He might.
When you only have to run around, get behind screens, and shoot up threes, and they go in by pure what in the Sam Hill just happened, you could very easily play.
Ray Allen played how long?
Till he was like 37, 36.
Like near the end of his career, he contributed to playoff.
Yeah, because it's not a play style that requires physicality.
No,
it just requires you to be quick.
It does require your legs though. So whenever his legs
when his legs give out, that's when we're gonna see him start to decline. Yeah. But you know what? If he takes care of his body, LeBron has been doing the same thing for how long and playing a much more physical game. Yep. So,
Kyle, this last question is for you, and then we're gonna wrap up. After dominating the East last year, the Sixers are 500 on the season. Is this related to Ben drama?
Partly, for sure, because he's not playing and they haven't found a trade partner. Therefore, they don't have really a good bench or other good players to contribute to their team. Number two, COVID just hit them hard. Toby was out for a while. Embiid was out for a while. Seth Curry was out. Danny Green was out. Tyrese Maxey, everybody was out because of COVID protocols. So that's definitely hurt their team. Tyrese Maxey's playing very well. He's an up-and-comer for sure. I think once they get their whole team figured out and healthy, they'll have a better system going. But ultimately, they need to either put Ben Simmons on the court or get something for him to help their team out because it's really doing them a disservice. They're paying, $40-50 million a year for him to sit at home to do nothing. So they need someone back for him or they need him on the court, but I doubt he'll get on the court. So,
and sadly, you can't cut him, even though probably the best thing they could do at this point is just to cut him and be done with him. But you're right. You can't put that much capital in and get nothing out. So hopefully that turns around for the Sixers. I do like them. They are our rival. I like them when we win against them because then it's easier to say, oh, yeah, it's the Sixers. But, we'll see what happens. Boston doesn't exactly look great this year either. So that's all right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. All I could think this entire week leading up to this was the SpongeBob episode where he adds everything at night. So I was going to say we're going to do Jock Talk at night. But, we're here. It is what it is. Thanks for being here. This will probably be our normal show time from now on. And it was nice to see a lot more comments and have more people here. So maybe this turns out better for people. But as usual, like, subscribe, hang out with us, ask us questions, complain to us if your team loses to the number 5 team in the country, and let us know how you're feeling. We will see you later.